Alright, let's pick up with turn 4. Let's see how our attacks went. Let's see, one of them we won with no losses, and the other one we won with no losses. Want to take a quick look at the fights. This one right here is what the Atlanteans and the Shamblers, it looks like. There's not a lot of Shamblers. I don't see a lot of nets. This is going to go well for us, obviously. I guess we already knew that we didn't lose anything, but because they're going to see the javelins did a ton of damage. Those guys don't have any shields, and good lord, that's a quick retreat. I bet they're really low. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, that's the chief there. Still, that's not terrible morale. The problem is the 2 protection just doesn't go well. Their defense is usually higher than 4 and 5, but they're routing. So, but that protection of 2 and 6 is a huge problem. So the javelins did quite a bit of damage, and then they just routed quickly. And I just did the same battle again. So I'll skip that. And there we go. Here's the other one. The other one, I think this was just some militia and some, some militia and some heavy infantry, but that should go fine. Looks like the javelins actually did decent damage. We could have easily lost some guys here. It's probably lucky that we didn't. The militias rout obviously really quickly. Those heavy infantry there in the corner, you can see some guys with their mirror images broken. So they were doing some good, but they still retreated quickly and easily enough. So from here, let's do this out of order, but let's take a look at the charts again. Now we can see Cetus grabbed 2 provinces or 3 provinces the last turn, whereas we just grabbed the 2. Everybody else is just continuing to grab 1 per turn. So the fact they grabbed 3 provinces last turn tells us that with what we saw earlier on the research chart and kind of how that just maybe kind of flattened out, they probably have some kind of a super combatant, which we learned later on through the forums and through the game itself was a Phoenix. So that's accurate, but we could probably deduce that from what we'd seen at the charts at this point. Everybody else's research is quite a bit below ours, but again, ours is really just based on the Pretender. Dominion, ours started out high, largely because of the Awake Pretender, so did Cetus. Ours kind of dropped off a little bit. If you'll notice, Riley's is really going up fast. In Maryland's video, he talked about having a 10 Dominion, so there you go, that'll do it. Army size, we actually are in the middle, a little bit higher on army size now, and it looks like TC actually took a loss somewhere. But we won't normally be that high on army size, and I'll probably talk about that at some other point. Nobody's found any gems yet. And income, Maryland's is still kind of doing that steady trickle down because he's still overtaxing his capital and his unrest is getting high and he's not realized it, which I wouldn't know necessarily from the charts, but we just know from the videos. Mine's bounced back up. It's actually in first. That probably has more to do with the province count than anything else. So that's all fine. As far as looking at the map proper, I don't see anybody else yet. I am seeing some black candles down here and also up here, and then over here in the water I can see a couple. What that's telling me is that there's somebody over here and there's somebody up here and that sort of thing. So as my expansion's gone, if you'll recall from the early plan, I wanted to get this choke point right here early on, and that was kind of a priority. The bad news is that we're only showing 20 units, but it's heavy cavalries and heavy infantry. And cavalries, they don't hit us that much. They have a little bit better attack than other units. One of the problems with the cavalry is that they hit hard enough that they can, on that initial charge, they can take our guys out. So, it's kind of an odd spot here. I really want this province, but 20 cavalries, and the heavy cavalries are named first, and that's what we see. That's what's mostly there. Versus my 1 dork with his buddy and 7 little Huskarls to go with him. It's not super exciting. And we've only got 1 star, so our defense isn't too outrageous on these guys yet. So, going after these guys, and I think I win this fight. I honestly don't remember. We'll find out together in a minute. This is pretty risky right here. Part of the cause for it, though, is I don't really have another stack ready to move quickly, and the fact that I'm seeing this candle here makes me worry that somebody else is going to come take it from the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and take that risk there. Here's that stack that we had moved out earlier. It's got it's the bigger stack, and it looks like I chose to use that to go after this one here with the Soulless and the Horseman. That actually makes a lot of sense. Kind of thinking about it again, look at it in hindsight, because like I said, these guys aren't tough, but they don't rout, and there's a lot of them to kill. And these guys aren't that great, but there's a lot of them. So that's a pretty good way to handle that attack right there. It also puts me in an interesting spot where if I can take this province, then grab that one, I've kind of sealed these provinces down here off, unless somebody comes up out of the water or from some other direction. But even though it's not really a choke point per se, if I can go here and then here successfully, I can kind of make a little 2-province sort of choke point. But basically, I think some of these internal or interior provinces like these barbarians here, I could probably take those later on at my leisure. And again, 50 barbarians is no fun to go fight. So this seems really smart. I'm pretty pleased with myself on that. This seems pretty risky, but okay. This right here is also a little bit risky. I initially identified if I could get down in here somewhere, these choke points, that would be a good secondary choice. So I'm going to go ahead and try it. These Wolf Tribe guys aren't that tough. I think my guys should probably be able to take them. In fact, there's 2 candles here. Worries me, though. I'm afraid I might bump into somebody else, and if somebody else is a decent force. Again, I just got 8 guys, so that could get a little bit dicey. So I think what I'd like to do here is maybe if I can go down here and get this guy, then I'm kind of in a similar spot where I can make, it's 2 provinces I got to take, but if I can go steal 1-2 or 1-2 provinces like that somehow, then I've got this great thing going on where I basically sealed all this down here, and I've taken this. Now, and if this works out, I would go here and here. I could seal that. So the water part's a concern, but from land nations, all these internal provinces here, interior provinces here, no other land nations would be able to get to them without going through my borderland provinces, and which they might be interested in doing, but it's awful early in the game to be wanting to do a war. And Marilyn mentioned on the forums that vet games, people are usually pretty cautious about going to war early on, and I think that's generally true. It's not that it doesn't happen, but I think the idea that they're generally cautious is probably a good way to think of it. The last attack that's happening is this one where I recruited before, where I got another Hellcarl and Hellhurting and a dozen of these dorks going up against, we were showing 30 earlier, now we're showing 20. I actually kind of like this. I think that's probably a pretty winnable fight. That Wasteland that I was so excited about, like I said earlier, it's still sitting there. The units, the guys that are in there aren't difficult. I can go take it back later. So if all goes well, I'm looking to take 1, 2, 3, 4 provinces this turn. Given the current state of the charts with where the provinces are, and we've got, most of the nations on 3, and then we're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Cetus is on 5. If I jump up to 9, that might be a little alarming to some folks, but at this point we're gonna be sort of okay with that notion. I think, I want to mention one other thing. I had last turn, I didn't click in there to see it. I did apparently go ahead and recruit an independent commander here. It's been mentioned before, the idea of using indies to ferry your guys around instead of using your mages. With some nations, that's incredibly important. For me, it's a little bit less so, partially because my mages that I'm recruiting provide me all of 2 research at the moment with the drain when I recruit them, so it's not like I'm giving up that much research. But also those mage commanders are really an important part of my actual, smashing the other guys in the face. Without my mage commanders, a lot of these fights aren't going to be aren't going to be won. The cavalry, those commanders are really an important part of it. But I would still like to have at least the option of being able to ferry some guys around without using a commander. And I suspect that I'm probably recruiting. Nope, I'm not. Oh, I'm recruiting my first Hangedrot. So I'm not sure why I got the hell herding and no other guys. That's interesting. I suspect I know what I was going to do. I bet this was the idea I mentioned earlier about getting one of these guys and giving them mist form and sending them out to take provinces by themselves. I don't remember if I think I did actually do that with this one. Earlier I said I didn't, but I bet I did. And speaking of that, we should go look at research. It's still 34 research per turn, so it's still just my pretender, and that's all the research I've done is my pretender research. And I'll be getting, as you can see, I'll be finishing Alteration 3 this turn. That'll give me Mist Form, which is the thing I want, so I'm sure that's the strategy. Now I've gone to Thaumaturgy, which is normally where I go first. The things I'm really honestly interested in there are primarily the site searching spells, so the Augury, Auspex, Gnome Lore. Those are all sites that I can natively search for. Horospex, the nature one's also in there. I don't have any nature mages beyond my pretender, who certainly won't be casting that, but nature mages are very easy to come by in this game, or in early age games, so I'll probably get one of those soon. So that's probably the idea. So I'll probably be recruiting some dwarves pretty quickly to start to do some of that researching. It's kind of worth noting, though, and I mentioned this a couple videos ago, that I am thinking in my head about casting Augury, but my dwarves only go Fire 1, and Augury clearly requires Fire 2, and I don't have a fix for that. It's also worth noting, I haven't found any magic sites yet, so I don't have any fire gems even if I wanted to search for them. So my dwarves will really just be able to do the gnome lores. The air searches, some of my higher up mages like this, what's he called that I just recruited, the Hangedrot, he could do it, and so could any Evangel's that I have. I don't have any of those yet. And the death searches, death also requires 3 gems, which kind of sucks, but it's in conjuration, so I don't have that yet. So the switch to Thom at this point is probably fine. It's not as good as it is for a lot of other nations, or even in slightly different situations with Helheim, but that looks like that's where I'm headed next. So that's really all we've got on this turn. I don't know if I recruited any other wacky guys. Well, I guess find out next turn. So let's end that one, and let's go look at turn 5 and see how all of our fighting went. Let's see, we've got an unexpected event. It might be our first one. Alright, got an extra 150 pounds of gold, and unrest decreased by 30. Don't know that I had unrest there, but certainly don't now. And extra 150 pounds of gold is something I very much need. And then I took the luck scales just specifically to accommodate some of this, because I knew I would need it. So let's go look at our fights here. Plains of Religion. I didn't take any losses there. I don't know if we're going to sit through the whole thing, but let me go see what it is real quick. We'll do a fast forward. Oh yeah, this is, okay, this is good. This is the Deer Tribe, I think. Wolf Tribe. This is the one where I was afraid I might run into some of these guys off to the south. These guys actually have 2 knives, I believe. Make sure I'm not lying. Yeah, they use 2 daggers. So they actually attack twice per turn, but they don't have shields, they don't have armor, and so they get routed, they get blown up pretty quickly. Their mage actually routed my my cavalry, which slowed it down a little bit, but once we got in the archers, they routed quickly. Northern Batmanian Foothills, I took quite a bit of attrition here. This is going to be the one with the cavalry, and there were actually 24 units plus 3 commanders, so I lost half my guys, and we were flat out beat there, so that's no good. How did we kill? Let's go take a look at it, actually. We killed half of them, though. Good grief. So let's go see what we actually killed up there. So yeah, that's a lot of heavy infantry. So they're going to go in here, and didn't really blow up my guys too much with their charge, so that much is good news at least. Fast forward on that. Unfortunately, they just have these heavy cavalry, just have a high defense and pretty high protection, and so it's hard for my guys to kill them. So it just kind of wears out, and this is what I was saying earlier about some of these fights where there's a lot more, there's 60 guys, even though my guys are good, there's 60 of them, that's a problem. So my guys actually routed, even though we haven't taken huge losses. They routed. It's interesting, though, is these cavalry are routing also. It's actually the heavy infantry that are staying in at this point. So if we watch this video, it looks like our guys... No? Maybe? Yeah, our guys routed first. Okay. Sometimes if all the actual cavalry routed, that could be good news. So we lost that one. So the next one, this was our big stack going up against those soulless. We didn't have much problem there. It looks like pretty minimal losses. Looks like, oh, that's interesting. They've got a mage in there who's... See if he does anything interesting. Looks like he's raising Skelly. He's Skelly spamming us. I can't do a lot more, I guess. That guy back there is a commander too, I guess. Yep, there's a guy Mountain King there too. So, these guys will kill some of our surf warriors, but really they don't even kill that many of them. Our prophets here, it looks like, which is good news, that he's spamming those banishments. Our surf warriors have already had enough, which is obviously very bad news for us, so that just kind of leaves our core guys, and that's also, by the way, part of why I don't really want to take surf warriors, is that they rout too easily. We're blowing up their soulless pretty quick, though. If we can get to the back and we can actually get the commanders, we'd be doing much better, but looks like the Mountain King's coming in. And we're blowing them up pretty quick, and they've auto-routed. At least the commanders have. So that's pretty much the end of that. So we won, even though a lot of our guys routed. And then Rentdale, we really got blown up. We almost got them all. This is the Amazons. So our commander lived. We lost almost all of our other units, but we also killed most of their guys. So let's take a quick look at this fight, I guess. This is where we had our two cavalry guys on top of each other and a bunch of a dozen dorks. So the Pegasus Riders, it's worth noting, by the way, are sacred, so they can be blessed. I don't know what kind of blessings Amazons typically have. We got a bunch of archers that are actually pretty decent archers at 12 precision. And then you can see they're back here, Twist Wave, they're back here casting Mind Burn, and they're blowing up some of our guys with the Mind Burn. That's real bad news for us, because our glamour and whatnot doesn't really help with that. So, and they're also, all their guys are sitting back firing arrows at us, which glamour doesn't really help with arrows. You can see we're taking quite a bit of damage because they're all pretty good archers. So that's pretty bad for us also. So this is a real bad fight for us, as it turns out. It's a lot of things that are kind of our weaknesses. So the archers themselves have routed, and there go our troops. And they're down to just those few last Pegasus and a couple commanders left. So we got blown up pretty bad there. We just about got all of them. So hopefully, we only won 2 of our fights, so hopefully we can recover pretty quickly. So here's our group going south. It looks like we found Cetus. That's our first folks that we've met there. That's where those candles were. That's where I was afraid I was going to run into them. They've got a bunch of Ictiids, which is interesting. I really like those guys, especially the warriors, which is mainly what they've got there. They're pretty tough, and they got shields, and they can get in the water, which, as I said, in most games I make kind of a high priority, but I'm not in this one. What else am I doing here? It looks like this guy is a leftover. He was the commander who was leading the group that got blown up by the Amazons, so he's out there by himself. And then the remains of this army. I picked up an affliction there. What I get? Battle Fright. It's not great. It might not be terrible. Looks like he also got Heroic and Endurance, which gives him a reinvigoration, which is probably just a 2 now. Which is fine, but it's nothing too exciting. So I'm taking the leftover of that army there, which is those 8 guys, plus my Prophet, who has, what's he have? Heroic Toughness, gives him hit points. That's interesting. So, taking the leftovers of that, plus my commander got blown up, and we're going to go after this pile here. It's 50 militias and archers, which I'm coming at with, what, 7, 8, 9, 10 dudes. So that seems like that it's probably going to work, but that seems kind of outrageous in some ways. But it'll probably work. So this is kind of that notion I'd said earlier about if I could get here, and then I could make my way in 2 steps over here to the coast, either 1, 2, or 1, 2, and then I could, if I took this, make my way over here, then I could kind of seal off the edges and have all this interior space that I could knock out later on. It's sort of interesting. I could have gone to either of these to try to get to the coast, and really this one generally would have been preferable. But as you can see, there's only 30 units, but there's militia, heavy cavalry, and light cavalry, and we saw how the cavalry fight went up here before. So that's why I chose to go after the 50 guys instead of the 30, because of the composition of the troops. I also get the extra commander in here, but that's not a huge deal. It could have also been useful to potentially send him over here to grab these. These are these horrible surf warriors that all routed in the fight against the Soulless. So I could have gone and picked them up, and it doesn't look like, am I recruiting something there? Yeah, so instead of going to pick them up, I'm recruiting a commander there, and the next turn that commander will pick up and he can lead them out of there. Up here I won, but that's where those surf warriors were, mostly routed, but the main troops stayed, and there's only 20 heavy infantry here, so I should win that, so I'm going to go ahead and try to go to the coast there. It's worth noting, this one here has 30 units, which is slightly more, but again, it's the militias, but light cavalries and heavy cavalry, so this is an easier fight, and it seals things off, and gotta worry a little bit about being too greedy and popping up too big on the charts, which, even though it's a 4-player game, it's an odd dynamic, but it still kind of factors in the back of my mind a little bit. It's also interesting up here, I got blown up on the northern Batmanian foothills, but I killed half their guys and I routed some, and I don't have any other reinforcements that I can get up there real quick, so I'm just going to basically take another shot with these, 5 guys that I got here. I don't hate my chances, really. In the capital, it looks like I am doing what I had mentioned, and I'm going insane. I don't know. Good grief. I don't know what that's all about. With the resist lightning. Oh, I do too know what that's about. I'm going after those Amazons. So they're air mages, so I'm resist lightning because they can lightning. And I'm casting the air shield because of all the archers. So I'm using my Hangedrot, which is my 350 gold commander, and this guy, I'll stand on top of him using guard commander just like before. And this time I'm casting 4 spells, and I'm only holding 1 turn before I attack rear. One problem with this, and I don't know if I had really thought of it much at the time, but I might have been better off kind of moving this guy out here or something and putting him on guard commander, because those Pegasus riders fly, so they'll be on him immediately. It doesn't really matter that he's sitting in the back corner. See what we're recruiting. So we're recruiting we're doing better on gold at the moment. Is that? It's hard to tell these pictures apart. Red Cape. Okay. Yes, we're recruiting another Hangedrot this turn, and another Hell-hurting kind of escort, and quite a few Huskarls. That's a pretty good stack of recruiting. And our treasury, we still have 300 gold left over, so that's also exciting. It's normally about this point that I would think I would be planning on my next fort. Obviously, I don't quite have enough gold for it, but I'm starting to try to build up a little extra gold. But I probably want to pick a key location. I want to do it someplace that it's cheap, and I probably about this point went and said, well, how much does it cost here? Okay, it's 800 gold. So this is the place I kind of like to have a fort. It's a fort because it's a nice choke point. I don't want to start at this turn for sure, because if Cetus is like, nope, dude, that's mine. I got to be here. I don't want to have just spent 800 gold to start a fort and have them move in with those 30 Ichthyds. And I could also consider starting one up here. But really, if I could get this province, which I'm even more nervous about taking, and that's another reason I'm taking this other shot here with the 5 guys, because there's now 3 black candles there, and I killed about half the guys. So if whoever's on the other side of this, which at this point I would have to assume is TC because it's just a 4-player game, if they happen to notice that, wow, there's only 10 guys in there, that seems like easy pickings, I'm going to go get that. I need to get it knocked out. So that's pretty much everything that happened in that turn. So we'll end turn 5. And let's do one more turn real quick. Whatever passes for real quick. So turn 6. Let's take a look. We had another unexpected event. A hurricane has struck the land, devastating the coastline. That's bad news. That'll cause a lot of unrest and a lot of loss of income. Northern Batmanian foothills. This is where those cavalry were left. So my 5 guys were able to knock them out. So that's good news. There's a battle in Rat Country. Only 11 guys. I'm kind of curious which one. Oh, that was the, yeah, that's those heavy infantry that were up here. So we showed 20, but it turns out they had some cavalry too that we were able to blow them up. It looks like probably pretty convincingly. It's interesting that that guy ran out ahead. What's up with that? Oh, I think I made a mistake there. So we'll go look at that. We need to fix that. He's back here casting spells instead of fighting. This guy ran loose. So what happened, we'll look at a sec. Winthale, that's where those Amazons were that I went at with my 350 gold hell hurting. And it looks like I lost one other guy. I lost the other guy, and I lost one of the commanders. I hope it wasn't the hell hurting, and I only killed one of the Pegasus riders. So that's very bad news. Who's the other commander I had there? Who's that guy? Who's my, oh, I just had a dork there. Okay, so hopefully the dork's the one who dies. But there's the Pegasus riders. They didn't come all the way across and get right on them. They stood back and shot arrows. But the problem is the Amazons are back there mind-burning my guys, which they have pretty good resistance, though they should be able to resist some of those. Resist those mind burns pretty well. The commander isn't. He's probably getting, there's a lot of bad things that can go wrong with it, that can happen to him. So yeah, he just got killed. And then my hell hurting, is that him? Yep, he's had his mirror image broken, so he's probably not going to last much longer. There he goes. And my Hangedrot is now starting. He's already picked up an affliction. He's taken some damage in there, even though he's clicked on the spot. Even though his mist form is holding, his fatigue's very high because I cast too many spells to get ready for the fight. So he's easy enough to hit, even though his defense is theoretically 25. All this getting hit for 1/1/1 is going to add up. Plus, they can mind burn him, and so he's decided that enough of that, and he gets out of there. So I'm going to have to reevaluate what I'm doing there. In the Chicken Lands, that's the province actually that showed 50. We don't need to watch that one. But it turns out there were only 30 there. I'll show you which one that is in a sec. And I also bought Obscuro the Hidden Master, almost certainly just for the research bonus. So the Chicken Lands is this one here. When I said that there were only 30, not 50. This one, when we scouted, we said that there were 50, and I was attacking with like 8 guys, but I still felt alright with it. So we've got that. Obviously, for next turn, I'm planning on coming over here and taking this coastal province to do what I'd said, which, since I've reached here, basically seals off these 4 interior provinces, and I can take them at my leisure, leaving those big, now showing 70 barbarians, leaving these big units of barbarians and these other guys in there until later on. This is a little dicey, though. The slingers heavy infantry and 4 elephants. That's not great because I'm rocking. I'm down to 6, 7, 8, 9 guys. So that's certainly losable. The elephants have low morale, but they have a lot of hit points, so they take a long time to kill. Meanwhile, the slingers stay back and fire. That's going to be a dicey fight. This one up here, this is where I'm starting to get a little bit greedy. I was surprised at this point that things still look this clear over here, and I see stuff like this. That's a little bit shocking to me. I can see some of Maryland's guys now. But the fact I'm seeing this hasn't been taken and this hasn't been taken, and some of these, turns out the TNG was there, and they were right up next to that province, but it didn't look like they had any troops there to really to go after it with at the time. So it's probably good that I went ahead and grabbed that. That's obviously the end of expansion that way. But if I can grab this province, that's really great because it's a great choke point. It's entry to this. It's choke point from here as well as from here. It also gives me access to both of these if I want. So this would be a really good province if I could get it. This one right here will also be, if I can get this one, then this one right here also becomes interior, and I can go back and take it at my leisure. It's like other moves I got going on. That commander that I recruited, he's grabbing the big stack of dorks, which are probably good to go in here and stand in front of those archers. And Pegasus, it looks like, is that my Hangedrot? So my Hangedrot did live, so he picked up Battlefry, which isn't great. He's sitting out here. I've got him, you'll notice I got him searching, so I'm going to start trying to find some magic sites. I kind of hate that it's taken me this long to get started with it, but just the way that the expansion has been so breakneck, I just haven't really had the downtime to do it. Last turn, I don't guess we went and looked at recruiting, but let's see what my army looks like. Oh, maybe we did, yeah, because I got a Hangedrot and then this good stack here. So this turn, they're down to, you know, what do we see, 5 or 6 guys left, and I'm coming at them with like 25, and I feel pretty good about my chances of finally getting these Amazons rooted out. So I feel good about this one, feel good about this one, feel pretty good about this one. Oh, this one, I'm sorry, I said I feel pretty good about this one. Nervous about this one. Elephants, that makes me nervous. Feel pretty good about that. The Wolf Tribe guys aren't, you know, we've seen them. We've seen other tribe guys. They're, you know, they're tough enough, but, you know, my little stacks of 8 usually handles them all right. We're done with expansion here. Oh, and you'll notice we're actually, because TC doesn't have anybody right next to me, I got bold and I went ahead and started building a ramparts here. So I started my first fort right here, which is a great place to have it right at this choke point. And this guy can do it from stealth, and I'm not giving up a whole lot, and there's not really hardly any troops left up here. So it's not like I'm, you know, I'm slowing an expansion force to do it. So the first new fort will be going up there, hopefully in about 3 turns if TC doesn't do anything too surly. I've just about got this sealed off. So I've got some more interior provinces here. I've got interior province here. I've got some more interior provinces here. I've got these guys that are interior. So my expansion's been pretty outrageous. And if we look at the charts, you know, Ryla and TC are still way down here. Cetus fell off a little bit, and ours continued real strong. So nobody's got any forts up yet. So we're not really falling behind their income. Ours is starting to get a little bit lower. It's still first, but it's really first just because of the number of provinces we have. Looks like Cetus found a small number of gems. It looks like about 2 gems. Our research is still way out in front like we'd expect. Ryla's is obviously very, very low. If you watch Maryland's videos, you know the reasons for that. Dominion, ours is starting to slack off a little bit. You know, we got really high Dominion folks playing the game. I'm a little bit surprised by that, honestly. Army size, you can see Cetus is really taking off. Ours is in last place now, and looks like Ryla had a loss there. We had a loss there, obviously, but our army size will again obviously be kind of be lowest for a while. And I said I'd talk about that later, and I will, but probably not right now. So that's the end of this turn. So that was turn 6. So I'll try to do a couple more turns here in the next video.